Welcome to the media and to anyone watching online as well. I'll start today with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this land on which the Sarnia Police Service operates is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, water, and air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment that sustains all life, protecting the future of those generations to come. All right, so on our agenda, we're at point number 3, and I'll ask if there's any declarations of conflict of interest. Okay,
None.
Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4, approval of the agenda for today. Just the 2 items that we're looking for approval for. So a motion to approve the agenda. Board Member Gillis moves and Board Member McRoberts seconds. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? And that's approved. And then that brings us to the first item of substance, the K9 program expansion. So there is a briefing note in your package, and I'll turn it over to the chief to speak to that item.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank the board for hearing this particular item. It certainly arose out of what we would consider a proper order. We've had some extenuating circumstances arise where we need to make a decision earlier, whereas this would normally come through our regular budgeting process had it not been for those circumstances. I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Chief Vansickle. He's deeply involved in the original development of the K9 program and can certainly speak to this report. So I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, everyone, Mr. Chair. Yes, so I've prepared the briefing document for you for the request for an additional dog for the Sarnia Police Service K9 unit. Just really quickly, there's a distinction in the definitions. Right now, we're currently running a police dog team per the definitions of the Community Safety and Policing Act. As soon as you bring a second dog and a second handler in, you're permitted to call it a unit. So you'll see those terms interchanged a little bit. And we're looking to build a police dog unit. And the primary reason for doing this, I think, came to light at the last meeting, and it is the support of the current dog team. We heard a lot from Sean about the successful work that he's been doing here, but the concerns that we've learned from watching this over the period of what is 1 year now is the impact that it has on the person. The dog is what it is, and it will suffer injuries as it has already, and it will suffer fatigue and illness as well. But certainly the dog can't be handled by anybody else. And so when Sean wants to take holidays, when Sean needs his rest days, that's where the impact is. And we did a quick analysis recently about the amount of times that Sean's been called out, and it's about 40% of the call outs roughly that he's coming in well not on duty. And so what we're looking to do is to be able to mitigate that factor. You know, like in the grand scheme of things, yes, it's the overtime money that is the concern, but it's also the person that we're talking about. And we don't want to get to a point where Sean becomes unavailable for any length of time. So that's the primary reason why we're doing this. Why we're doing this now is opportunity is knocking. Obviously, with the relationship that we've built with Windsor, we're kind of at their mercy as to when they are running a course. Fortunate happenstance for them is they've come into, I'll call it a mature dog, that they are in possession of right now. And they are looking to train that dog right now, but they're looking to train a handler for that dog. And they're going to do that in the fall. And with conversation with Windsor, this is going to make their program very sustainable for the near future. And there's going to be no necessity for them to train a dog unless something happens to the one of the 5 that they currently have now. So this is an opportunity for us to train our next dog. It's just a little bit quicker than we would have expected. But as opportunity knocks, I think this is a good opportunity for us to take advantage of that. We're in a great spot, as you'll see in that report, that probably the single biggest expense is the vehicle that is associated to the K9 program. And in order to ensure that our program with the singular dog was sustainable, we needed to have 2 cars. When we upfit a cruiser for a dog unit, it is away from the service for the better part of 6 months. So when we purchased that F-150 last year, we had possession of it, and then it wasn't in our parking lot for 6 months after we procured the installment of all the equipment that goes in it. So in the event that Sean's Ford Explorer was to, whether it be in a car accident or some type of maintenance issue, we have no way to transport that dog. It can't be used in any other vehicle because of the equipment that's in it. So what we'll do is that we already have the 2 vehicles for the 1 dog. Adding the 2nd dog will just make that even more sustainable, because in the event that one of those vehicles goes out of service, they're simply going to share 1 vehicle. So whoever's on duty during that period of time will have access to the car. The dog will remain in the kennel and can't be transported. So subject to any questions that anybody has, that's the position that we're in now. And I think it's a great time to take advantage of this and just settle in with our dog unit.
So I know board member Sebastian has a question. I know Chief Davis wanted to make a comment. Maybe I'll start with you, Chief, and then we'll go to board member Sebastian.
Thanks, and I appreciate Mike's detailed coverage there. I think the other part, Mike, if you could just very quickly speak to for the board, is if we didn't do this now, what would the timelines look like?
So with respect to being involved with Windsor, it's unknown. It's expected that there could be years. They can't give a definitive answer as to when they're going to run the next program. There are other agencies that run the Windsor program in Ontario: Waterloo, Guelph, Halton, Belleville. There might even be Sudbury in there. And they will run courses at times throughout the year. But the impact that we have there is that we are going to be required to send the handler to an agency where they're going to have to be housed for 15 weeks. And just doing a rough estimate of about $150 a night at 75 nights, that's going to be required. That's upwards of $15,000 if I'm doing the math quickly in my head, which would be an additional expense to this, which almost, for what we're asking for now in the $30,000, it's a 50% increase in the cost to wait if we do it.
Sebastian, to make her question comment.
Yeah, I have actually, Paul, I have a series of about 4 questions. So I just want to be really clear. In February, when we had another out of plan funding request, we specified the requirement to identify where in the plan we're going to be drawing down these funds. And I don't see that in this package. So it's really hard for me to understand where we're going to be taking this money from and what we're sacrificing to do that, and how the cumulative unplanned asks for the board already this year, like the boiler and the purchase of night vision goggles, have impacted our reserves. So pinpointing that question, where specifically, what line item are we drawing this money down from? And what are we sacrificing in order to do this year?
Pete, you want to address that, or perhaps Kathy?
Hi.
I'll defer to Kathy and then I'll jump in after.
Oh, sorry.
I have follow-on questions.
Initially, with something like this, with the relatively not a significant amount, we would first look at operating to absorb this, because the equipment is, like, the vehicle is the big capital expense with a dog. So this would just be a variance to operating. We have we're foreshadowing significant salary gaps again this year for constables, and which would be more than sufficient to cover the purchase.
And when we talk about what I wasn't clear on in the narrative was on two things. So the capital expense to outfit the vehicle, where is that going to be? Is that going to be an expected expense coming forward in the 2026 budget that we haven't yet seen?
The vehicle is already upfitted, so there's no future expense for that.
But there's a single vehicle. I heard Mike say in his presentation that we're at risk, right? Because we have only a single vehicle. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Yep, through the chair. We addressed that last year. We actually have 2 vehicles for 1 dog team. And that
Okay.
was to ensure that that dog was deployable all the time. So we weren't going to let the vehicle be the obstacle of it not being available. That's up to the dog and the handler now.
Okay, and okay, perfect. Thank you for the clarity. And then the next point of clarity, I wasn't clear on where we were the handler. So it said in the narrative that the handler was not going to be an expense. Is that because we are going to be training an existing qualified constable for this particular dog?
Through the chair, Chief, do you want to address this or would you like me to?
This is not a headcount increase, nor is it an increase in budget. It's a redeployment of resources based on operational need. That's essentially what we're doing. So we're taking an existing constable and converting them to a canine officer. So the salaries are essentially already the sunk cost. They have to be experienced. Like we can't hire a canine officer off the street. So
Yeah, there's base criteria. Yeah.
We have to use
Sorry.
existing resources, and they have to be experienced and trained in any regard. So this a canine officer can't be a new officer; they need to be an experienced officer. In terms of the truck, I just want to also be clear: the truck doesn't sit in the parking lot. Like we don't have 2 vehicles assigned to 1 dog and 1 truck sitting in the parking lot collecting dust. This is an operational vehicle, but if the other vehicle encounters a mechanical problem, is involved in a collision, is otherwise taken out of service, we have to have a secondary vehicle for the purpose of transporting the dog. And remember, it's not a matter of, the dog hopping in the back seat. We have to have temperature controls, safety mechanisms, automatic door releases, all kinds of technology that goes to the dog that we can't afford 6 months to wait on a current dog team. So the second dog was necessary to ensure, the second vehicle was necessary to ensure the current program is sustainable through vehicle failure. And then this next phase is essentially the cost of a dog and kennel, because we have the officer, we have the truck, we have the capability of doing expansion, and we have a window of opportunity with Windsor now that we may not have for potentially a year and a half from now.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you. And just my last question here. So London has 6 dogs, Windsor has 8 dogs. London also appears to have a training center. You didn't mention London as an option for future training. Have we explored that as an opportunity? Either for shared dogs or training?
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, when we did the exploration of training our first canine unit, it was an exhaustive search evaluating all dog teams, certainly in southwestern Ontario and then even throughout the province. There's 2 different philosophies in dog handling. And through the research, we opted to go with the philosophy and the expertise of Windsor. Windsor is renowned across the province, and they will argue that throughout most of Northern America there, with all the trophies that they have for their expertise in this, which is why we chose to go to them. The other philosophy with respect to dog handling, you'll see with London, Woodstock, St. Thomas, and the OPP, which is why there's almost 2 factions at work in dog handling. And we made a decision to go with the Windsor philosophy, which is a handler controlled, for lack of a better term, where Sean is in complete control of the dog on the leash at all times. And the other agencies will operate with the dog off the leash for certain tasks.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you for the clarifying questions, Board Member Sebastian. So I just want to sort of recap what I'm hearing. At this point, we're looking at a $25,000 American dollar expense for the dog. no additional costs, and any discussion about, having additional staff would be part of the 2026 budget conversations. And we already have the capital, that is the vehicle to support the second dog. Okay, we have, I think Board Member Gillis was first, and then Board Member McRoberts, and then Board Member Ash. Go ahead, Board Member Gillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for clarification, it was 10,000 for the dog and 15,000 for the training, correct? And this is what the ask is? Yes?
That's my understanding, but go ahead, Deputy Chief.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The dog is purchased in Pennsylvania
Yes.
for a value of $10,000 US. We're subject to the currency exchange rate with respect to that. And then the training from Windsor is $15,000 Canadian. And those are the two known expenses with respect to this dog. So that's roughly $30,000 Canadian.
That's okay. That's where you came up with your number. I thought so, but I thought I'd take that clarification. And Board Member Sebastian has asked all the questions that I wanted to ask. And she's certainly done her research, and so have you. So one of the things that I think is an obvious from when you first purchased and incorporated Vader and the K9 unit into the police service was the realization that we were going to take it for a year, and that's basically what we've been doing, and seeing how everything unfolds. And obviously it's been quite revealing that one dog doing everything that has been asked of that one dog and Sean is we are victims of our own success, because people are engaging, utilizing that. It's amazing how the stats are rolling out with the K9 unit and how it's affecting the overall efficiency and cost wise to the entire service. So looking at a $30,000 investment to bring in another K9 to the unit and a trainer on top of that, then one can assume that the return on the investment is going to offset the cost. And indeed, it may do much. We might be able to basically have a much more efficient budget than we've had in the past, because we have another way of delivering the same service, if you understand what I'm saying. So I think it's a very good addition. I'm glad we're doing it. The realization that there's a high demand for this service, the realization that it's an overwhelming task for one individual, and perhaps it was a little naive of us to think that this one Superman and super dog can do everything that needs to be done, and there will be no consequences or negative effects as a result. But obviously, dog gets injured. No one thought about, well, from the external, perhaps you did, but the overall population never thought, oh, what happens if the dog gets injured? Or what about the fatigue? Because everyone thought, or certainly from my perspective, people thought the dog will go out, the dog will go home, and all will be well. And the next day something, but it doesn't happen like that. It's the same. It's an emergency service. It's 24/7. So this is just, to my way of thinking, being very proactive, but it's also doing it in a very cost-effective way. So I do believe that we're going to get a really good return on this investment, as well as what we have seen with Vader and Sean. So all for it.
I'm assuming you said me. Sorry, Paul, you're cutting out. I do.
Board Member McRoberts, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Thank you, through the chair. Just to clarify, going forward, then we have selected officer that will be the handler, or going to be. Are they going to get a raise? I know we're talking about someone that exists on staff, but is there a cost increase in their salary to take on this role?
Through you, Mr. Chair. No, the officer hasn't been selected yet. I am prepared to put out a publication to the officers for a letter of interest to be submitted. There is interest in our officer constables on operations who are going to be interested in taking this position. There is a monthly per diem that the handler is entitled to. Just really quickly off the top of my head, I think it's $75 a month for incidental expenses. They're required to take care of this dog. So if they've got to buy bags to take it, and that's what they're required to do and to pay for. And I believe there is a specialty pay, I want to say, of Kathy could correct me with the specific, but I want to say it's $2,500 for the year. It is not a promotion by any means. It's not a tied to a percentage. There is just a couple lump sum payments throughout the year that permit him to pay the expenses that are required. Because just to reiterate, the dog lives with the handler. The dog is not housed anywhere else. It's at his place. So if he needs to buy anything for it, we handle that as well.
Thank you.
Again, I can't hear you. I'm assuming you're talking to me. Can anybody else hear him?
No,
Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Right. Through the chair. A couple of things I wanted to clarify. Charlene, you referred to the February expenditures regarding the night vision. That was not a new expense. It was a procurement policy issue. The money was already there for that, but because of the way our procurement is done, so that wasn't additional funds. We didn't pull that from anywhere. It was already budgeted.
Kelly, we can take that offline. It is not, if you go back to the August budget, and I've sat down and I've had the conversation with both Paul and Kathy, it is not in there. It is being drawn down from reserves. It was not itemized and it was unplanned.
That was
Well,
not my understanding.
Yeah, let's take that. That's not germane to the specific motion. So let's focus on the specific
That's
motion,
right.
please.
I'm surprised it came up.
Okay, that was the only comment that I had.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I apologize. I seem to be having some mic issues, but I'll keep an eye on that. So I'll just before I look for a motion to be made on this, I just want to say really appreciate that the board has done its homework, has read through the materials, has done the research, has really asked really good questions. I really feel that we've been meeting our fiduciary responsibilities in terms of oversight on this issue and other issues too. So well done. So at this point, can I ask for a motion that the board authorize the purchase and training of a second police service dog in August 2025 with deployment scheduled for December 2025, thereby forming a dedicated dual handler SPS dog unit? Is that a motion, Board Member Gillis?
yes,
Thank you. Moved by Board Member Gillis, seconded by Board Member McRoberts. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that is approved. All right, thank you. And then the second significant issue today is relating to an architect for the new police headquarters. And once again, there's a briefing note in the package. I just want the board to be aware that all the previous reports with respect to the facility were included in this package. That is just so that if any member of the community or the media want to reference any of the past discussions about this, it's all in one place. But really, the new materials just relate to the actual report itself, as well as the proposal from the architect. So, Chief, I'll just ask if you want to highlight.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Really, we're into the next phase of the project. We've had a number of needs assessments done, both the physical needs of the building We've had an initial operational needs of a police service, which is different from any other emergency service in terms of what our requirements are. We've included some historical documents back as far as 2017 that shows that there's been this is not new. This is not something that we've come up with. And of course, the board has approved us proceeding with this particular project in collaboration with the city. There was a committee, all is outlined in the report. What we don't know are some of the specifics that we now require an architect to deliver to us. We need to do an architectural needs assessment. We need to get an actual estimate of the cost from a professional design firm, and it helps us give us much more specifics. We're trying to do this economically and incrementally so that we're not jumping into a waterfall type of a full project from start to finish. We don't have architectural expertise inside the police service, and we do have to go outside to do that. One of our approaches is, because we are a very specific emergency service with very specific needs, we've done some market research in terms of other Ontario agencies to say what services have been procured by them and what has been the result of their projects. And what we know we do need is the experience of a firm that's built Ontario facilities in recent history, that understands current standards, and that can help us take all those lessons learned into any kind of project we do going forward. So this proposal is for an initial phase of an architectural, essentially an assessment, an estimate, and to allow the project to start moving forward and give us give the board more facts in terms of potential costs than our guesstimates have been to date.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. I'll ask if there's any questions from board members for the report. I think I just want to emphasize that this is really just the start of the process. Obviously, when we contract an architect to do the full design, it's going to be significantly more in terms of the cost. But at this point, it's just to get a high level conceptual design to move us forward in the process. So, Board Member Sebastian.
A comment and then a question for clarification. So again, going back to our February notes, we'd asked specifically to have the financials updated when we have asks for money. I'm unable to find this item in the August budget. Can someone please clarify that for me? Where are we getting these funds from?
I'll
go
take
ahead
it
with
first,
that.
if I may, and then I'll turn it over to the staff. So, board members will recall that as part of the budget for this year, there was $500,000 allocated for architectural services for the building project. So that would come out of that budget item.
Okay, and we haven't used anything against that already then, Paul? Okay, great. Thank you for that.
Board Member Gillis?
Yeah, just as a follow-up to that, when I was looking through the numbers as well, because the ask from the board to the city for your overall budget, and that was highlighted and discussed amongst councillors as well, and we approved it. I just assumed, and rightly so, that this would be just the beginning of the drawdown on some of that monies. And obviously, at first, I wasn't 100% sure of what the architect was doing, if they were going to start preliminary drawings or anything. But obviously, the needs and wants, all encompassing in the actual final project, is going to have to be assessed in some way. So this is exactly what you want to have as you're going into the project, and making sure that the deliverables that you get from this fit into the overall plan of what a new and improved police services building should look like in 2025 going on to the long term, so that as we progress, as we finish this project, hopefully we're successful in getting the monies and getting the grants that we need to actually build this. It hopefully will be able to sustain us for well over 50 years, if not longer, because you'll be able to add in input and change and redesign within the building. That's the biggest problem that I see, is the problem with the current building that you're in, You can't adapt to the new needs of the police service and the needs of the changing technologies that we're experiencing. So you need an area that you need something that you can easily adapt and modify. And I'm really glad to see a preliminary so that you can factor that in when you go to the actual drawings. So it's a good use of money, in my view.
Thank you. Thank you. Board Member McRoberts.
Thank you through the chair. I'd just like to confirm this conversation started in 2017. So this is 8 years that this is not new just to this board about a new facility being needed. Two, your building right now is just not doing what we need. It's not that the building's bad. It's just that asset is not doing the job that we need, that the Ontario government is changing policies and requirements on municipalities for their police. And that is what's driving the change. And it's just going to be better to take away from paying the Lambton Mall site money to rent, which there's no control really on what they can increase it to. So now we're going to build another asset for the city. We're investing in our own police force so that they can do a better job, be better trained, and going forward, that building will last for however many years. So it's an investment in projections of what's happening with the world right now. I'm sure that how many arrests and how many illegal activities happened 8 years ago are in no way compared to what is happening now. So if we follow the trajectory, this is a good choice. Is it a huge price tag? Absolutely it is, but it's not all happening this year. So we need to initiate this to move forward with what the requirements are. Thank you.
Thank you. Just look for any other comments or questions. Chief, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just in terms of some history, like I would say this is any asset you build depreciates over time. And I think that it requires maintenance, it requires updating. Certainly things that last over a long horizon, like 40 to 50 years, are going to require extensive maintenance, extensive renovation, and it's very difficult to see into the future for 50 years. So when this building was built, I think it was built to the needs at the time. So that is what it is. But certainly policing's changed a lot since 1987. And I think some of the key things that I want to highlight here is because there's some conflation in some of the public discourse about it's just a building. The building itself could be repurposed for other uses. That would be completely up to the city. It's a city asset. I think what we're saying is as a police service, we have very specific and unique needs that we have to address, which to Board Member McRoberts' point has just been acutely highlighted with the new act. Whether that's a new rifle range, whether that's prisoner standards, the cost of an inquest, officer safety, building security, property management, like these are not things that are dealt with by other emergency services. They are unique to us. And in our current facility, it just has not kept pace with the change. And now we're in a bit of a conundrum that through the board, we're trying to address. But it's at the point where we have to have a plan to move forward because this issue grows every day, every hour. Every time, the longer we wait, it's not going away.
Board Member McRoberts.
Thank you through the chair. I'd also like to point out that myself and Chair Member Sebastian have created a motion that this board is taking to the OAPSB to hopefully put forward to the Ontario government to say if you're going to enforce these standards, where's the money for to afford this? I mean, it's a burden that, yes, the cost is falling on us. Is it great for our officers? Absolutely it is. Like new standards training, like we can never have enough training for them. But if you're going to tell us we have to up our standards, where's the money? So that's on our taxpayers in the city, and that's unfair. So hopefully that will be taken somewhere and we will see sometime in the future.
Thank you. Also mentioned that along with this particular decision today, we do have the expression of interest for land going before City Council next week. And if that issue gets resolved, we'll have land and potential we'll have an architect, and then we'll really start to be able to move forward on this project for the reasons that many of you have already indicated. So I'll look for a motion to that the board approve the purchase of architectural services from Venton Group Architects in the amount of $41,850. Board member McRoberts moves, and seconder, please. Oh, sorry, board member Ash. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Okay, and that's approved as well. Thank you. So that brings us to the end. We do have the open forum if there's any quick items that people want to raise at this point. Okay, seeing none, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Board member Gillis moves, board member Ash seconds. All those in favor? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.